Hello internet friends, my name is Catherine and I'm the human behind Creation Miss Couture. And today is going to be a super fun video. We are going to experiment with leave no dies. So this one I have made some mistakes and you will see. So it is what it is. So I have leftovers from True Black. I believe we have fluorescent lemon. We also have fluorescent fuchsia, and it's either Caribbean blue or frozen that we have leftovers of. So we will see what happens because let's just say that I could have done a little bit more thought behind this. So without further ado, let's get into this. Okay, so this is a new type of leave no dye that I'm going to experiment with. So we have leftover colors. So this is Flu Fuchsia. It's the neon yellow from Dharma Trading Co. And we have, it's either Caribbean blue or frozen. I'm not sure which one it is. And we have some True Black here. So what we're going to do is we're going to be using the True Black in the water and add the skeins twisted. And we're going to be incorporating this in a high volume water. So that way, sorry, that was Zoe that was doing something in the basement. I'm going to show you how the fact that you have a high volume of water makes it that your colors won't be moving as much because there is a lot of natural resistance happening there. But we need to top up our color because like this one is pretty much dried out anyways. So we have some hot water and I want 200 milliliters of the stock solution. I am absolutely uncertain of how much dye there is in those. So, and I want to create a rainbow. So this is why also I'm using this. Okay. Yeah, I think it's frozen. I don't know. Okay. I think. Do I have enough? Yes. Okay. So now that we have top up this one, I think I need to just stir a tiny bit to make sure the bottom is good. Worst comes to worst, we can always add a little bit of water into the jar when we need it. Okay, so we're going to go in the pan so that you can understand what I'm trying to say, because I feel like I'm confusing people trying to explain resistance in a high volume and the movement and all that. So we're just gonna go quickly into the pan now. Okay, so what we're going to be adding into the pan now is a little bit of citric acid. What we want is about 1 teaspoon per skein of yarn. So that's approximately what we have. And I want high volume in here. So we are going to be adding, where is my 4-cup thing? So we have 4 cups, and I think I'm going to be adding 4 more cups for a total of 8 cups. There we go. Now what I'm going to be adding is the True Black we were talking about earlier. Okay. Oops. There we go. So basically, I know the only one I knew for sure, the person that depth of shade is a True Black. So it was a 1% stock solution. However, since we didn't had the full 100 milliliter there, so I feel like we were close to 7, like a 0.75% depth of shade for, well, stock solution that was remaining. And since we're going to be using 2 skeins of yarn, it comes down to like almost half, like 0.5% depth of shade per skein. So we might have a charcoal gray as a final result for that. So I'm just going to be adding my skein. Oh, maybe it's too much liquid. Yeah, I think I have put too much liquid in there. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to be turning on the heat. And we're going to be waiting about 10 minutes before we add the other colors. And I think I'm going to be doing this experiment another time with other colors just to see if I had kept it with 4 cups of tap water, if I would have the idea I have in my brain right now of what a color is going to look like. Anyways, I will see in 15 minutes. Okay, so I will not obtain the idea I had in my brain, but you know what? That's fine. We will just roll with it and work with what we have. So I wanted to wait a little bit to make sure that we had a good absorption. And we're going to make a rainbow now. And we're still going to be able to, I think we're still going to be able to do what I wanted to do. So, and the blue now. There we go. So I have too much water, and you can see that the color is moving a tiny bit more than what I was wanting to show you. So I did put too much water. So we're going to have to redo this experiment to properly show you what I wanted to do in the first place. But at least I have 4 more containers that are good to be washed, which is fantastic because that was the main idea of what I wanted to do. So I think we're going to be able to recreate this idea, and I think it's going to be very pretty. I just need to make sure that I put 4 cups of water instead of 8, because I think with the addition of all the colors, it's just like it threw off my groove. I feel like it needs some speckles. Okay, I'm going to grab my respirator real quick because we only have 1 pair of lungs and we want to protect them. So, as usual, when you're working with dry powder, make sure that you're grabbing a respirator that will filter the fine particles. Okay, let's do this. I think it's going to be pretty with this. Okay. And one trick I want you to know is that when you are speckling, you need to keep your fingers like this to make sure that you don't dump a huge clump of dye over a specific point. Okay. Okay, now that the powder is on the liquid form, we can remove the respirator and we'll see what we end up with. So now that we have all the dyes and that the temperature is at the right temperature, we're going to put a 30 minutes countdown for this to cook. And after that, we're going to turn off the heat and let it completely cool off before washing off the excess dye and letting it dry overnight. So see you in a bit. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes and we can see that we still have a little bit of pink in the dye bath, but that's okay. It's normal with pink. And this is okay. So what we're going to do, we are going to turn off the heat for this and we're going to let it cool off completely, and the rest of the pink should strike and completely clear out the bath. It should. Worst comes to worst, when it's completely cooled off and we see the final result, when we wash off the excess dyes, we'll see some pink, but it's okay. So I was hoping to have a sort of I was truly hoping for some sort of rainbow happening here, but I think I really do believe I had too much water in here and too much liquid in general, so we were not able to achieve the rainbow effect, but it's fine. I'm going to retry this at some point, and I'm going to try with not necessarily true black, And if we're going with true black, it would go on a lower scale of the depth of shade. So it would have been, anyways, it's still going to be pretty. It's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. We're good. We're good. We're good. Okay, so we're going to let it cool off completely before washing up the excess dye, and we'll see you when that happens. Okay, so now that it's been cooled off, we are going to be washing up the excess dye from our skeins of yarn. I think the effect will be quite interesting. You can see that we have a little bit of the pink tint in the pan, which I was expecting to have a slight pink tint. So I'm just going to... Okay, so we still have quite a lot of the negative space here, but the color did penetrate towards the inside. So maybe next time we could try without the twist into the skeins. Okay, I'm just going to let this sit in there for a few minutes, and I'm going to come back to see if there's colors left in the bath. Okay, let's... Oops. I don't have both of them. I like to let colors sit a little bit to see where we're at. But we have a good color penetration when it comes to that black. So I think that if we're going to do it, I will actually use a gray so we can see. I don't know. Maybe I should have retwisted it on the other side. Or maybe just flat in the pan. I will revisit this, that's for sure. But there was a very faint color in it. Yeah. So I don't think we'll have too much of work to do. But that's what happens when you have fluorescent fuchsia or any fluorescent pigment, is that you will have bleeding happening depending on how much concentrated the color is. And I think maybe I just didn't have the concentration of color high enough, and that's why we barely have any blue and we barely have any of the yellow, and I wanted to create those things. So I really believe that if we didn't have the 8 cups of water and I had stopped at 4 cups, I think the effect I wanted to go for, we would have had it. So that's something I'll have to try again in the future. So I'm going to put this in the spin dryer and let it dry overnight, so tomorrow we'll be able to see the result. See you tomorrow. And here's the final result for the Leave No Dye Behind experiment that I had. So you can see that the inside where we had the twist is still quite pale, and we didn't cover as much color as I wanted to, where the outside is kind of nicely saturated. We still have some patch of skeins that are not as covered by the color as I wanted to, but I do believe it's because we didn't have enough pigment in the leftover stock solution we had. Because you can see that with the pink, it was able to strike up to the inside, but we didn't have enough of the blue and we didn't have enough of the yellow to create the secondary colors, because I was going for rainbow style. So technically we should have green over here and we should have some orange there, but we don't have those transition colors except for some small stuff right there. So I do believe that if I had not as much water in the pan as I did, we could have achieved a little bit more the goal I had in my mind. So I think what I would do next time, because I do want to try this again, But next time I'm going to lower the level of water, and I'm going to do two different tests of the color. I'll do one with the twist and one completely flat with no twist, no nothing, and we'll be able to compare the final result with the resist in it. I think that's what we're going to do. We still have a very interesting color at the end of it. It's just slightly too dark, the first of all. I think we have a nice charcoal color, but I was really hoping for more of a gray, lighter gray, not this dark of a gray. So we will have to change that as well. So instead of going with a leftover true black, I think next time I'm actually just going to grab a gray pigment. So this is where it's important to understand that you don't need to have a lot of like premixed colors. You can create your own secondary and tertiary colors with the colors that you have at home with your primary colors. However, the caveat I have is that I think gray is very difficult to play with. So if you want a nice gray, I would recommend purchasing a gray pigment because it does make a big difference, in my personal opinion. Like, you don't have to do it if you don't want to or if you don't have the budget. However, having a nice gray that you like playing with is, in my personal opinion, something good to have, but you don't have to. It's 100% optional, like a lot of things. So this is just my personal opinion and conclusion. So you can do whatever you want with your budget and what you have for space. So with that being said, I still like the final result. And if you liked the video, please consider sharing, liking, and subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one very soon. Bye!